Homer Simpson has worked the same job for 35 years, owns a house, raised 3 kids, and his entire retirement savings is about $25. Here's where it stops being a joke. The average American his age needs $1.46 million to retire, and most are nowhere close. Homer isn't a cartoon. He's the median American, which means Homer is probably a little bit like you, and I'll be straight, a lot like me too. So in the next few minutes, I'm going to run Homer's actual numbers and build the exact catch-up plan that gets a guy like him, like you, whether you're a guy or a gal, and like me to retire anyway, even starting late, even starting with almost nothing. If you've been around here, you already know that I'm not preaching from a mountaintop. I got serious about my own money way later than I should have, and I've never hidden that. And if this is your first time seeing me, this channel is for people who feel behind. I don't do shame or fancy jargon. I don't judge. So I picked Homer because he's not a punchline. He's the most relatable guy in America. The median 55-year-old has about $47,000 saved. Homer is not an outlier. He's a data point. And the reason I keep saying us, I was right there. Quick thing, before we keep going, what I do here every week is take the boring stuff nobody reads, the IRS limits, the Social Security fine print, the rules that quietly cost people thousands, and turn it into a plan you can actually follow. If that sounds useful, subscribe, and I'll keep them coming. All right, back to Homer. Chapter 1, Homer's Numbers, the Mirror Moment. Let's start with what Homer actually makes. In Season 7 of The Simpsons, there's a split-second shot of Homer's paycheck. The internet being what it is, people zoomed in. His gross weekly pay? $479.60. That works out to be about $24,000 a year. Adjust for inflation in 2026 dollars, and that's roughly about $48,000 to $50,000 a year. Now here's the part that always gets me. Homer is a nuclear safety inspector. You know what a real nuclear safety inspector makes? About $68,000 to $72,000 a year. Mr. Burns has been underpaying Homer for 35 years, and Homer never pushed back. We'll get back to that. So let's say Homer's pulling in about $50,000 a year. He's been at that plant since the late 1980s, and based on the show, what does he have saved for his retirement? Nothing. Maybe $25 from the time he sold his power plant stock to buy a six-pack, literally. Now here's where Homer stops being funny for a second. As I mentioned a little bit earlier, Prudential surveyed Americans approaching retirement and found that the median 55-year-old has just under $48,000 saved or $47,000 saved. The recommended amount for somebody that age? Around $446,000. That's a $400,000 gap at the exact moment it matters the most. And the numbers he's supposed to be chasing? According to Northwestern Mutual's 2026 study, Americans say they need about $1.46 million to retire comfortably. That buys roughly $4,800 a month in retirement income. Homer is staring at a $1.46 million hole. When I finally sat down and added up my own numbers, I was staring at the same kind of donut hole. A great big empty circle where the retirement was supposed to be. But before you close this tab and get all sad on me, stay with me, because that hole is a lot more fillable than the numbers make it sound. And there is one Social Security decision coming up that I very nearly got wrong myself. The one that could quietly torpedo the whole plan, so stick around for that. So we know where Homer stands, and where I stood, and maybe where you stand. Now let's talk about how we all got here. Because the 3 money mistakes Homer made, I made all 3, and they're probably going to look familiar. Chapter 2, the 3 money mistakes, Homer's and mine. Homer has had 188 jobs. According to the Simpsons wiki, yes, I went there, 188 documented jobs in the first 400 episodes. Boxer, astronaut, food critic, beer baron, farmer, carny. The man could not hold a career. That's money mistake number one. No consistency. And I'll be straight with you. This one was mine too. I wasn't getting shot out of a cannon like Homer, but I had stretches where I started over, changed jobs, left a 401k sitting behind me and never rolled it over. Every fresh start is a financial rewind, and here is what most people don't realize. It's not just the paycheck you lose. It's the compounded growth that never got started. Money that sits in a retirement account for 20 years does something money you pulled out at year 3 never gets to do. It multiplies. Homer never let his money sit long enough to multiply it. Neither did I. Mistake number 2 kills me because I did the grown-up version of it. In the episode where Mr. Burns sells the plant, the stocks shoot up. Homer's coworkers buy sports cars. Homer, he'd already sold his shares for $25 when they ticked up a quarter, then watched them skyrocket while he sat at Moe's. Here's my version. In my 30s, I cashed out a 401k to pay off a car. Felt responsible at the time, killed the debt, right? The tax bill hurt, but the loss compounded growth hurt 100 times more. And I didn't even feel that one until years later when I did the math on what the money would have become. That's the same move Homer made. Grab the small sure thing and kill the big slow one. It's the financial version of cashing out every time the market dips, which just locks in your losses permanently. The market goes up and down. That's what it does. The people who come out ahead are the ones who left their money alone and let it recover. I get it. Slow and boring doesn't feel like a plan, but slow and boring is actually the plan. Mistake number 3 is the simplest, and yeah, me too. No emergency fund, no cushion. Every unexpected expense, and life is nothing but unexpected expenses, went straight to the credit card. And when you're always putting out fires with borrowed money, you never build anything, you just tread water. Here is what connected all 3. They are not character flaws. They're what happens when nobody ever sat you down and explained how any of this works. Homer didn't get that conversation. I didn't either. The people who got it together early usually had a parent or a mentor who showed them the ropes. The rest of us are figuring it out late. And that's okay. That's what we're doing right now. So this next part is where the story starts to shift a little bit. But just as a reminder, there's a Social Security trap coming that I almost walked right into. Plus, a piece most people don't know that could protect your spouse or your partner long after you're gone. Chapter 3. The Social Security decisions Homer will probably get wrong. Let's be real. Homer is a type of guy who's going to want to retire the second he can. The man falls asleep at his console daily. So the moment Social Security opens at 62, he's going to grab that check. He's tired, he's done. And honestly, I get the pull. When you've been working as long as we have, taking the money the moment it's offered is really tempting. I feel that one myself. But it's worth knowing exactly what that choice costs before anybody makes it. And it's permanent, so here is the math. The full retirement age, when you get 100% of your benefit, is now 67 for anyone born in 1960 or later. That's official as of 2026, confirmed by the Social Security Administration. Claim at 62 instead of 67, and your benefit is permanently reduced by 30%. Not temporary, for the rest of your life. Wait until 70, your benefit is 24% higher than that full amount. Let's pull the numbers on it. Say Homer's full benefit at 67 is $1,800 a month. At 62, that drops to about $1,260 a month. At 70, it climbs to around $2,230 a month. Over a 20-year retirement, that's hundreds of thousands of dollars riding on one decision. The SSA has a calculator at ssa.gov where you can look up your own projected benefit based on your real earnings history. I put a link in the description below. Go check it for yourself after this video. It takes 5 minutes, and the number is worth knowing before you decide anything about timing. And I'm not a financial advisor, and this isn't personalized advice. Your situation is your own. Now, here's something most people don't know, and it surprises almost everyone. Medicare and Social Security are completely separate programs. Most people assume they go together. They don't. Medicare, the health coverage, starts at 65, regardless of when you claim Social Security. So you could leave work at 65, get on Medicare immediately, and let your Social Security keep growing for another few years. The two decisions don't have to happen at the same time. One timing catch: if you don't enroll in Medicare within a specific window around your 65th birthday, your premiums can go up permanently, even if you're still on an employer plan. So when that Medicare window opens, it's its own separate conversation from Social Security entirely. And here's the piece of this section I really want you to sit with, because this one isn't about you at all. The survivor benefit. When Homer eventually passes, hopefully not from a nuclear incident, Marge gets his Social Security benefit, the higher of the two, for the rest of her life. So Homer delaying his claim to 70 isn't just about what Homer collects, it's about what Marge collects after he's gone. In any household where one person earned significantly more over their lifetime, the higher earner delaying Social Security is essentially a way of protecting their partner for potentially decades after they're gone. Most people never frame it that way, but it changes how the whole decision feels. Now, before we leave Social Security, I've got to address the headline you've probably seen, because it's been everywhere, and I actually did a video on it. Just this month, the new trustees report came out, and it moved the date up. The retirement trust fund is now projected to run short in late 2032. And the way the headline reads, it sounds like the whole thing's about to vanish. It's not. Social Security isn't going bankrupt. What the report actually says is that if Congress does nothing, around 2032, the program could only pay about 78 cents on every scheduled dollar. Call it a 22% cut across the board. And if Congress does nothing is doing a lot of work in that sentence. Last time we got that close back in the 80s, they fixed it all in the last minute, like they tend to. So nobody knows the final answer yet. But here's why it matters for everything we're doing today. This is exactly why you don't hand your whole retirement to the system you don't control. Social Security is the floor, it's not the plan. The 401k, the catch-up contributions, the HSA, that's the part that's yours. So that 2032 headline, it doesn't scare me off the plan. It's the best reason I know to build one. Okay, now let's actually build a plan. And a couple of tools coming up are ones most retirement videos never mention. Chapter 4, the actual catch-up plan. Okay, here's where we build the plan, the same one I'm running now, taking it slow because every piece matters. First, what is a 401k? A 401k is a savings account your employer sets up for retirement. Money goes in from your paycheck before taxes, meaning the government takes a smaller bite right now, and it grows until you retire. You pay taxes when you take it out later. Homer's job almost certainly offers one, he just never enrolled. Here's the part that's frustrating to learn late. Many employers match what you put in, up to a limit. Match 3% and contribute 3%, and they double your contribution, for free. If Homer's been at that plant 35 years and never contributed, he may have left tens of thousands in matching funds on the table. Mr. Burns probably loves that. I left match money on the table for years too, and that one stings. Now, the catch-up contribution. The IRS built a rule specifically for people 50 and older called catch-up contributions. Once you hit 50, a bigger annual amount can go into your 401k. In 2026, the standard limit is $24,500. 50 or older, and you can add an extra $8,000 on top, a total of $32,500 a year. And here is one most people have genuinely never heard of. A law called Secure 2.0, passed specifically to help people save more, created a super catch-up for people between 60 and 63. In that window, the catch-up jumps from $8,000 to $11,250 a year, which brings the total to $35,750 a year. That window exists because 60 to 63 is the last real sprint before most people retire. The government basically said, if you go hard right now, here's a bigger shovel. Step 2, the IRA. An IRA, individual retirement account, is one you open yourself separate from work. You can have both at once. In 2026, if you're older, you can put in $8,600 into an IRA on top of your 401k. Another tax-advantaged bucket stacking on the pile. Now here's the one most people have never considered, the HSA, the stealth retirement account. Most people think an HSA, health savings account, is just for doctor's bills. It can be used that way, but here's the secret. After age 65, the money can be used for anything, not just medical. It works just like a second IRA at that point. And the tax treatment beats a regular IRA. Money goes in tax-free, grows tax-free, and used for medical expenses at any age, it comes out tax-free. That's a triple tax advantage no other account has. For 2026, someone 55 or older can put $5,300 into an HSA, the $4,300 limit, plus a $1,000 catch-up. Worth noting, not all health plans qualify. It has to be a high-deductible health plan, something to check with your employer or benefits coordinator. And one more thing, the rule of 55. Mr. Burns has fired Homer before, more than once. Here's something most people never hear. If you leave your job at 55 or older, quit, laid off, let go, you can withdraw from that employer's 401k without the usual 10% early withdrawal penalty. Normally, touching retirement money before 59 and a half triggers that penalty. The rule of 55 is a specific exception for people who separate from their employer in the year they turn 55 or later. So Homer getting fired at 56 isn't the disaster it looks like. That 401k he finally built, it's accessible, penalty-free. One nuance, this applies to the 401k from the job you're leaving, not old ones from past employers, not IRAs, and regular income tax still applies, just not the early withdrawal penalty. Walk through the full picture with a tax professional before you move anything. What do you actually invest in? This is where people freeze. You open the account, see a list of options that nobody explains, and then you close the laptop. For most people who aren't professional investors, which is most of us, a simple index fund is what a lot of experts point to. An index fund spreads your money across hundreds of companies at once instead of betting on one stock. Historically, the broad market goes up over long periods. Simple, low cost. Most retirement accounts offer at least one option like this. Again, I am not a financial advisor, so do your research before you make any decisions. Now the numbers. Let's say Homer is 52, 15 years until 67. He's contributing $32,500 a year to his 401k, earning a 7% average annual return. Roughly what a broad index fund has historically delivered. Not a guarantee, past performance doesn't predict the future. Those contributions alone could grow to around $830,000. Stack an IRA at $8,600 a year over the same period, that's roughly another $230,000. Add Social Security at 67, that's $1,800 a month, $21,600 a year, coming in automatically. Homer went from $0 to a real workable retirement, starting at 52. Because he started. When I finally ran my own version of this math, it was the first time the future stopped looking like a donut hole and started looking like a real number I could actually hit. One more compliance note. If you earned more than $150,000 last year, there is a 2026 rule that changes how your catch-up contributions are handled. Your plan administrator or a tax professional is the right person to ask about your specific situation. So here's the two futures, and I've lived the first one. Future 1, do nothing, keep coasting, claim Social Security at 62 because you're exhausted, miss the Medicare window, never look into an HSA, Never run-roll in the 401k. Leave every tool on the table. Spend retirement anxious about every bill. I spent years walking straight towards that future. I know exactly what it feels like. Future 2. Start today. Look into the 401k. Understand catch-up contributions. Find out if there's an HSA. Leave Social Security alone until the timing actually makes sense for you and for whoever you're protecting. Learn how the Medicare window works at 65. You're not trying to get rich. You're just trying to build something real. That's the difference. And the only thing that ever stood between me and Future 2 was starting. And look, Gen X started saving for retirement at 32 on average. Not 22, not 25, 32. That's not a personal failure. That's a generation handed a world with fewer pensions, more financial noise, and nobody explaining any of this in plain English. Homer didn't get that conversation. I didn't, and maybe you didn't either. So I'm saying it now. Homer Simpson is a lovable oaf, but he is not a failure. He's a late starter. So am I. And late starters can retire. The math says so. So that $1.46 million hole? Turns out you don't have to fill the whole thing. You just have to stop staring at it and pick up the shovel. Now, we didn't even touch what happens when maxing out is impossible right now. If your situation is more like starting with $100 or $200 a month, I made a video specifically for that called Frugal Living in Retirement. It's a solid education on how to retire well when you have little to no savings. It's right here. I'll go see you there. Thanks again.